I do love you and I do care for you, but I do have to let you go.
It's over. Finished. Natalie and Josh are no more. After years of being together, years of stringing Natalie along, Josh is finally doing what he's needed to do for a very long time. He's finally putting her out of her misery and pulling the plug.
I've decided to end things with Natalie now because I don't see a future with us. I want her to find somebody that can make her happy. I need that for myself too.
It's been very clear for a while now, for a very long time in actual fact, that there was never going to be a happily ever after for Josh and Natalie. Now, before we dive into how this all came about, just a quick request from me. If you're watching this, if you've watched more than one of my videos in the last couple of weeks, do me a favour please, hit that subscribe button. YouTube tells me that over 70% of people watching this right now are return viewers to the channel, but aren't yet subscribed. If that's you, show your support, hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. So the last time we saw Josh and Natalie, she was paying him the ultimate compliment. Josh is a genius, she proclaimed, and that pleased Josh no end. In fact, for probably the first time this season, they actually seemed quite flirty. But when we join them in this episode the next morning, Josh is once again filled with doubts. Doubts that he shares with Rob.
I'm terrified of commitment with Natalie. Like, I'm just gonna be real with you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm worried. You know, like, I've had really one good day here yesterday, like one.
Now, keep in mind, today is the day of the commitment ceremony. The couples will each have to decide whether or not they're going to recommit to one another or choose to go their separate ways. And Josh, having reflected on his time at the resort, has decided that actually the bad times outnumber the good. There's only been one good day, he claims, where me and Natalie weren't fighting since we've been here. I'm not sure what I want to do at the ceremony later, he admits to Rob. I don't know if I want to recommit. Now, the irony here is, of course, that I don't actually think he's ever been super committed to her in the first place. But either way, Rob gives him some good advice.
If I walked away, I don't know what would happen to her.
I think you really need to search internally and figure out if you're holding on to this for the right reasons.
If he's not happy, if he hasn't been happy for ages, what exactly is he holding on to? Why is he holding on? Now, we do know that Josh has been financially supporting Natalie, right? So in that one way, no one can dispute the fact that he has been good to her. Without Josh's help, she wouldn't have had a place to live, a car to drive. Heck, he's even tried to set her up with jobs, right? So he has tried to help her. And his worry, he admits, is he's not sure how she's going to be able to survive without him around. But, says Rob, while that all may be true, that isn't a good enough reason to stay in a relationship with her.
We got a saying for that where I'm from, you know, we call a guy like that, you know, Captain Save-A-Ho. You've internalized feeling like you're her savior.
Ah yes, the saviour complex, or as Rob eloquently puts it, Captain Save-A-Ho. Is that why Josh has stayed with Natalie all this time? Does his role as leader, and remember he has said a number of times that he wants to be the leader in the relationship, is that role as leader giving him a sense of fulfillment that makes him put up with all the negatives in their relationship? Whatever the truth, if that is indeed the case, as Rob points out, that isn't healthy for either of them. He's not a saviour, that isn't his role to fulfill in a relationship. So with those thoughts mulling away in his mind, when we join them all later on in the day, everyone is headed to group therapy. In fact, this is the last group therapy of the retreat, and as a starting exercise, everyone is asked to pick one word that best sums up their relationship. But Natalie can't choose just one word. Josh, she says, reminds me of the game squash.
You are there, you are playing the game, but in front of you, it's not a real person, it's a wall.
Is that him?
Yes.
That's quite the metaphor, isn't it? She's likening Josh to a wall, to something without any emotion, no reciprocation. There's Natalie, presumably the player, someone who's trying to put some emotion into it, actively participating in the game, but what she gets back is a hard, unresponsive surface. It's one-sided, right? This isn't a real partnership or relationship. And from the sounds of things, both of them have come to the realization that this relationship isn't going to work.
I'm scared of commitment with her because I'm so unsure of what's going to happen next.
Natalie is unpredictable, right? We all know you never know what to expect from her. You never know how she's going to react to something. That has to be draining. And according to Josh, it's that aspect of her personality that up until now has made him keep his distance, has made him never fully commit. In fact, for the first time, he even takes it one step further. He even admits that he has been stringing her along in the hopes, he says, that maybe she'll change. I wanted her to change, he says, but she never did, and that's why she's never been to my home. So we need to ask the question, say the therapists. Do you or don't you want to recommit to Natalie?
I definitely feel like I'm put on the spot, but I feel like, this is the time for me to make a decision. It's now or never.
I still fully believe, right, that Josh's mind has been made up long before this moment. I'm just not convinced that he came to the retreat ever fully wanting this to work out. Heck, the guy has come and gone as and when it suited him. Hardly the actions of someone giving it 100%, is it? But the time has now come. He now has to share his decision with Natalie and the rest of the group.
Can I touch you?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do love you and I do care for you, but I do have to let you go.
I do love you, he says. I do care for you, and that's why I haven't been able to break up with you up until now. But, he says, in what comes across as a rare moment of self-reflection from him, my actions not breaking up with you sooner, dragging this out, has probably ended up hurting you even more.
I came from a place of wanting to help, but I think I may have hurt her more by doing that.
Finally, for the first time, it's refreshing to see him finally take accountability for his role in this disastrous relationship. And having heard this in true Natalie style, her reaction to this isn't in any way whatsoever what you'd expect.
I feel relieved. That is the most honest and clean moment with Josh during our 3 years and 3 months and some days.
Instead of screaming, shouting, crying or hugging a tree, Natalie is remarkably calm. She thanks him for being honest and she says, I've never respected you more than I do now. All I've ever wanted is honesty, and this is the first time I actually feel you're being totally honest with me. It's a very mature response, and I'm taken aback by just how civil they're both being here.
I don't want to drag this on any longer, and I want Natalie to heal from this if she needs to heal from it and find, true happiness in a partner.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for acting the hero here. Thanks for not wanting to hurt her anymore or drag it out any longer. I'd say that you've hurt her enough. You've dragged it out long enough. But yeah, better late than never, I guess. I'm sorry, but I'm finding his act here a little bit difficult to swallow. Now, after all of this, now he's acting like all he wants is her happiness. Where was that concern before, Josh? Where was that concern when you were sliding into other cast members' DMs or arranging to leave the resort and leaving her as the last person to know? Either way, it is what it is. He is who he is. And as for Natalie, well, she seems to be holding it together really well. She's staying remarkably calm and composed. But away from the cast, she reveals that actually this has hurt her a lot more than she's showing.
I do feel pain a lot because I love him, and it kind of hurt my dignity a lot because I wasn't enough for him.
What is so wrong with me that he couldn't commit to me, Natalie wants to know. And for as much as you know that's going to eat away at her, Natalie remains headstrong. She refuses to give Josh the satisfaction of asking him that question. She refuses to scream and shout. She refuses to get emotional. Why? Because she doesn't want Josh or anyone else in the cast to know just how hurt she is. But for as calm as Natalie may be acting, there is one member of the cast who feels her pain deeply, and that is Stacey. Stacey is doing all the crying on Natalie's behalf.
Sorry. She deserves to be happy. I hope she finds her true love. Just feel sad for her.
Stacey really is an empath, isn't she? She really does have a big heart. But, just like that, the Natalie and Josh relationship is over. They are now officially done. And as everyone is saying their goodbyes to one another, the act, the pretense that she's holding up fine, becomes too much for Natalie. She suddenly sprints away, and it's left to Josh to go and check in on her one last time.
Natalie. You okay?
No.
Now, the pair sit down to talk in private, or at least as private as it can be with a bunch of cameras pointed in their face. I mean, you'd say that, a private conversation after years of being together, is the very least that they're owed. Now, Josh takes the opportunity to try and explain himself. He says that therapy, being here, opened up my eyes. It's helped me, he says. It's helped me to make the choice that I have.
And I just think it's unfair to keep it going if I know that my heart's not in it.
But again, I'd argue that it's not the resort that's helped him come to that conclusion. I mean, come on, it's been obvious for ages that his heart hasn't been in it. I'm just not buying it that being here has been an epiphany moment for him. He's known that for a long, long time. Like, the real reason why he's here is he wanted to squeeze that lemon for every last drop, didn't he? He wanted every last minute of screen time he could get, and being on another show, being on The Last Resort, gave him that opportunity. But again, it is what it is. He is who he is. He repeats that he will always care for Natalie, he will always love her. But, he says, I just don't think we're good for one another. I just hope you can forgive me for that, he says.
Josh, I don't hate you. I don't.
Thank you.
Again, Natalie is dealing with this in a remarkably calm, mature way. In a way that I'd suggest she's seen this coming. She knew that this would happen. We have had some beautiful moments together. I will always cherish them, she tells him. But, she says, I agree with you. I agree that we do both now need to move on.
And I honestly wish you happiness.
I mean, this hurts to do this. But I think it is best for both of us.
Make no mistake, this is the most mature, grown-up, adult conversation that these two have had all season. Maybe if they spoke to each other this way all along, like rational adults, they might have had a shot at making this work. Now, with the finality of the situation sinking in, Natalie begins to drop her act. She begins to tear up and start to cry. And in a flash, Josh, not wanting to deal with that, makes his excuses and leaves.
I'm gonna give you some time and space here.
It is pretty sad to see her crying. You can tell, I know she's put on this act, but you can tell just how hurt she is. But as Josh walks away for hopefully the last time, he also seems pretty sad and reflective. Like, he knows this is for the best. He knows he has made the right decision, but he says, I will miss her.
I'm gonna miss Natalie. Of course I'm sad, but I feel like I have to stay strong with the decision that I've made.
As far as regret goes, Natalie also doesn't regret the decision they've both just made. But her attention, her thoughts now turn to her future. She seems very uncertain about what her future will hold. Keep in mind, since the very, very first episode that we met her, back in the Mike days, all that Natalie and her mother have ever wanted are kids. She's just wanted to have her own family. So with this breakup, with her biological clock ticking and years wasted, that dream of hers feels further away now than ever before. She's worried, and I think that is more a reason for why she's crying than the breakup with Josh.
I worry that having a child and meet someone who gonna love me for real, it might never happen.
Look, Natalie is a lot of things, right? She is an acquired taste, but as we leave her here, on her own, contemplating her future, I really do hope that she can find happiness. Hopefully she can take something from this, learn from this experience, and find someone better suited to her. I have a feeling this won't be the last we see of Natalie.